Cool. It's warm enough in the car for us to talk about this.
Oh, good, finally.
Or do we talk about Jake first?
we have to talk about Jake. I mean, this is a review of the movie Top 5, which we'll get to in a second, but first...
You've seen these videos before, you know we'll probably talk about something else first.
It's true, yeah.
And in this case, I know it's going to get brought up again in Jake's video. Jake's still in there watching Annie right now. And just Jake.
It's just Jake.
Weird. The movie times were weird tonight. Like, well, not weird. They were just, it's 3 movies and they were all at different times. So, Sarah and Dave's was at 7 o'clock, so I came here at 7 to give them their tickets. Then I went back into town to pick up Jake, came back. Our movie was at 8 o'clock, and Jake hung out in the arcade for a while until 9, which is when his movie was. So we're watching Top 5, and my phone is going off, and in situations like this, I have to check it, because
Right.
it might be what
Right.
happened. And by checking it, I don't mean like, well, let's see what I got. I mean, I'm wearing a hoodie and I'm looking at it through my pocket like this, where no one can tell what I'm doing.
No, I can tell.
Well, you had your head in my lap.
That's how I watch movies. So you know I can't get comfortable otherwise.
It's really weird.
More on that later. You know, no,
Yeah,
you'll see what I mean.
it's true.
It's true.
So it goes off, and I get a text from Brian that's like, fuck, fucking motherfuck, and it's a big paragraph, and I just see fuck, motherfucking fuck, so instantly I'm like, he's not gonna make it.
Nope. It's pretty clear.
Something happened with his car, and so Jake is about to get blended. 'Cause that's what happened to me. That's why I had to see Blended by myself. That's why Dave was at People's by himself. That racist bastard, it's always about movies that involve Africans.
Yep.
Fuck, damn it, Brian.
Brian.
Damn it. So, I go out in the lobby. I'm like, hey, I'll be right back. So I go out there. I'm out in the lobby. I'm looking for Jake. And eventually I find him. And I'm like, I don't know how to tell you this. And he looks at me and goes, I'm seeing this by myself, aren't I? Like, I'm so sorry.
Enjoy Annie.
Usually we know well enough ahead of time, right?
Yeah.
Usually we know well enough ahead of time if Brian is having car troubles. That's why there were 3 people at Big Hero 6, just in case.
Just in case.
So I go back in there. Ryan catches me up on what I missed, and then like 10 minutes later, I get another text, and it's Jake saying, "I'm in here by myself." Our movie ended. Our movie ended, and Jake was probably about 45 minutes into his movie, and I'm like, I'm gonna go peek in there, and I do. I go into the Annie Theater, and it's this big bed-hopping musical number that's happening. Like, they're jumping on, the orphans are all jumping on their beds and singing, and
Yeah.
I get down the ground, I peek around the corner, and it looked like there were a few other people in there too, just like right behind Jake, and Jake's sitting in the middle of the theater. He didn't see me, but he's sitting in the middle of the theater just with this look on his face, this coat on, the big Jake hair, just looks like guy who, why is he at this movie?
This man is seeing this movie by himself, and he doesn't seem to be enjoying it.
At 9 o'clock,
At 9 o'clock
on a Thursday night, Annie.
Sir, you could have chosen any other movie. I mean, there's all these other movies out. Why did you come to Annie by yourself?
Well, I couldn't go see Night at the Museum 3. That movie showed 2 hours ago. So it makes me feel really bad to say that Top 5, honestly, easily probably one of the best movies I've seen this year.
Fully agree. Awesome.
This movie
Incredible.
was hilarious.
Yes.
It was so fucking funny. It's, if you really, really love Chris Rock and you hate the fact that you've seen him in a lot of movies like Grown Ups 2.
Yeah.
This movie is so fucking good.
It really, really is. It's great. Yeah. I mean, it's a, sometimes when you get, writer, director, lead star movies, it's a bit too vanity or a bit too like, I'm so awesome, or look at my great talent. But I think that he really did a comment on the problem of vanity and the problem of, the stuff. No, I don't know. I'm getting off. I think I'm getting off track.
No, not at all. Not at all. Because you're right. You can tell that he is, and he said this before when he was promoting. I Think I Love My Wife, which is another really good movie. He says, and you can tell in this movie too. In the style of movie that he's made here, he's very much inspired by the kinds of movies like this that Woody Allen made.
Yeah,
his character in the movie's last name is Allen.
Right. Yeah, which is very true. Yeah.
This is like it's Chris Rock's, like Annie Hall crossed with like Stardust Memories.
Yeah.
But I think it's a far better movie than Stardust Memories. It's him. He's kind of like, when you've seen Woody Allen in a movie like Stardust Memories, where in that movie he's playing a director and he's playing someone who is not himself, but himself in a way.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's that here, Chris Rock, he's playing a comedian.
Right,
he's playing a stand-up comedian who
turned actor,
doing movies where he's in a giant.
He's in a bear suit.
In a bear suit.
Hammy the bear. Yeah.
Movies that we would have sent like Brian and Irving to.
It kind of looked like a Rush Hour kind of spoof type of thing. Those type of movies.
But if like Chris Tucker was a bear.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's just really silly, stupid.
Yeah.
But, so.
And he wants to be taken seriously, so he's made this movie about like the Haitian uprising.
Right.
And
yeah.
anytime it shows clips of this thing, it's amazing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all these guys running through the woods with these machetes, and they just goring all these French colonial troop type things, and just
it's really bloody.
How many white people die in this? And he's like 3,000.
Dude's like only 3,000.
Only 3,000. Yeah.
I liked throughout the movie when it kept showing like still shots and posters of this movie, which is called Uprising or Uprise.
Yeah.
And there's like critic quotes on them, and as the movie goes on, they turn into like one of the posters towards the end. It was a critical quote on it, but all it said was just interesting.
Interesting, exactly. Yeah. How they can turn and twist those words and being like a real cinematic some crazy thing like that. Yeah.
This movie's worse than a trip to the gas chamber, and then like ... a gas.
A gas. Yeah.
But it's him doing press junkets for this movie, so you've got a lot of great sequences where there's like a montage of him going on different talk morning zoos, talk shows, and like, podcasts,
and hitting a lot of. And you see a lot of people that are recognizable members of like Sirius and XM Radio, like Opie and Anthony.
Which kind of dates the movie a little.
Which does date the movie, seeing as how it's no longer what is it? Just Anthony now, or just Opie? I forget.
Anthony. I think it was. I think Anthony was the one that got fired.
You're right. So, but and he also says complimentary things about Bill Cosby.
I missed that.
You missed that. They were going through, and he was talking about all the famous comedians, like Charlie Chaplin. He was the original the comedian. Blah blah blah. This. He goes, Bill Cosby's one of the greatest storytellers ever. And then he goes straight on to somebody else. And I was like, that didn't make the edit.
I guess one thing had to slip through. He's been edited out of everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
But that was, having, because you and I worked in radio, and that was funny to see, because you and I we worked in radio together, and we would have, it usually wasn't someone as big currently as someone like Chris Rock, but we would have people rolling through town, and I remember, I don't know if you were working around there at the time, when Jimmy Walker was he was doing stand-up here in town, and he was hitting the morning shows at the radio station, and everyone had a pool on who could get him to say dynamite. No one won it.
Right.
He didn't say it. He didn't say it. He didn't say. I wasn't on any of the. I was a nighttime guy. I just happened to be there doing. I don't know. I was probably still there from the night before. I was probably passed out drunk on the couch in the conference room.
Sounds about right.
Is that fucking Jimmy Walker? Fucking Christ.
Dynamite.
Jesus. That's another thing this movie touches on really good too, is his alcoholism.
Right, yeah. It really is I think, just an interesting portrait on fame, and the pitfalls of his fame. One thing that was really interesting that I really picked up on and followed was, did you notice that sound design wise, any and every time he was outside, the usual background noise was constantly flooded with like people shouting, "Hey, it's Hammy!"
Oh, yeah.
You know, all the
Hammy!
time. Every time he would go out in
Yeah.
public, and like it was very subtle how it happened. You know, you never see somebody yell, "Hey, it's," you know, you know, occasionally you would, or somebody would come and ask for an autograph, but it was played off as such. Just, you know, they were going through the scene, and then somebody would run up and hand him something, and he'd just sign it and hand it off and move on. You know,
Just it's something that happens.
it's just
you know?
part of his world. It's just part of what happens. It's not like, you know, oh, hey, I'm a big celebrity, here come people. No, it's just, he's just trying to go about his day, and people are shouting at him, hey, Hammy, you know, Hammy, you know, everywhere he went. He's even in jail, and they're yelling at, you know, the other prisoners are yelling at him at one point.
DMX.
And then, yes, DMX shows up, which is really, really funny.
Really, actually, yeah, the cameos were really strong in this. Like, that's another thing I'm gonna have to tell Jake, too. I'll have to be like, dude, I'm sorry, I saw one of the best movies of the year, and it also had Adam Sandler in it.
It had Adam Sandler. Yes, there's a bachelor party scene.
Yeah.
Where you've got Jerry Seinfeld and Adam Sandler and Whoopi Goldberg, and yeah, it's really funny.
Yeah.
They're like a strip club. And yeah, they're talking about, you know, be careful, these girls will pickpocket you. And then later they pay off that joke.
Yeah.
Where you see the bouncer talking to Jerry Seinfeld saying, "You can't touch any of the girls," and he says, "Well, she stole my wallet."
Where am I gonna hide that wallet?
And he says, "Do I really have to say?"
It's fantastic seeing Jerry Seinfeld throw hundreds to
And
strippers.
yes, he's making it rain. Jerry Seinfeld is making it rain to strippers.
And then at the end, Jerry Seinfeld talking about who his top 5 favorite rappers are.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. And even Adam Sandler is really good in this, which Adam Sandler can be really good.
Can be really good.
When he's doing stuff that's not written by Adam Sandler.
True, very true, very true.
This is a movie written by Chris Rock. Much funnier than much better writer than Adam Sandler.
Absolutely, yeah.
And the part with Adam Sandler and Whoopi Goldberg and Jerry Seinfeld, I thought was one of the better scenes in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's talking about, you know, what is infidelity going to be like in this marriage that he's about to take part in, which is to a reality star.
Which is just a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is pretty much teased in the way the movie's built. But yeah, that's all it really is the reality star is pushing this marriage on him to maintain her fame.
And the movie actually really humanizes this character, too, because the first...
They could have made her a bitch, right? They could have made her a really awful, you know, just snarky diva.
Which, I mean, she is.
She is, to a point, but they show why they're together and why she kept, you know, she actually does help him, and she is a good person. But she's pushing this whole marriage and this whole reality show because she likes the fame and wants to maintain it and knows that, she even says, there's a speech where she says, "I have no talent. I can't sing, I can't dance, I can't tell jokes, I can't act. This is it. This is all I have. Don't screw it up for me."
Yeah, like, what else is she gonna do? She has this Bravo television series.
Right.
Even Romany Malco, who is like her agent or somebody who's in the movie, the guy who's always with her in the movie.
Yeah, and he was good too. Yeah.
He's fantastic. It's really cool seeing him in something good again.
Yeah.
The last thing I saw him in was Think Like a Man 2. I'm like, oh, dude, why are you in this? I mean, I know you were in the first one, but and then in this, there's even this moment, and he doesn't even have a lot of lines in this scene, but when he has this moment where he's watching this reality show break down for the reasons that you just said, and he's looking at her like he wants to comfort her, but he knows she's right.
Yeah.
He knows he's also looking at her as like, this is the first time in a while she's actually acted like a human being.
True, yeah.
Like, it says something about that. It says something about reality show celebrity marriages and reality television, all of that stuff. And even stuff that you can sympathize with, you're not living the kind of lifestyle that like Chris Rock is in the movie, whether it's just simply his alcoholism.
Sure, right. Oh yeah, absolutely. It touches on those things, and I think that one of the biggest themes of this is, well, I mean, the biggest theme of the movie is understanding who you are.
Yeah.
You know, really who you are, because his whole, you know, the premise is that he's a comedian who's wanting to do serious acting, but everybody just wants him to be funny. And it makes him really mad because it's like, well, no, I can do more. I can offer more. I can be more than what I am. I'm not just a comedian.
Which takes talent to do that in a movie without coming across like this is just an extreme ego project written by.
Absolutely.
That's hard. That's not an easy thing to do.
No.
And this movie manages to do that really well because it completely humanizes his character.
Right.
100% it does. When he talks about, like, when he gets into issues about like him drinking, whether or not he can actually do this because he's so used to being drunk.
Right,
He
right.
wants to do serious stuff, not necessarily because he's an egomaniac. He wants to do serious stuff because he's never had to be funny when sober before.
Right. Which again, instead of it just saying, "Oh, I'm just a brilliant talent, I can do anything," no, it actually gives him, such depth and humanity to think that he's scared. He says he's scared.
Yeah.
And it comes across so great.
And the movie, and the serious movie that he does within the movie is ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous and terrible, and it's played that way. Which is great, which is really, really great. And then that scene with DMX.
Yeah.
At the end is this wonderful scene where he's in jail. It's kind of it's the absolute lowest moment.
Yeah.
He's fallen off the wagon. He drank and got arrested, and so he's in jail and he sees DMX there, and DMX is talking to him and saying, "Hey, I want to get into doing. I'm more than just rap too, And so he starts singing. what song was
He
it?
starts singing it's like this folk song. Like
It's very like anybody. He's trying to sing it. His voice is real raspy and deep, and it just sounds really terrible. And he's just open and smile, motherfucker. Something like that. So then you hear all the other prisoners go boo.
the other prisoners are booing him. It's like they're not hardly really cursing at him. Just boo.
They're just going boo. Rap already, boo!
But then he realizes, well, I guess it could be lower. It could be DMX in the next cell over here.
But it plays to the theme of the show. It also goes to what later happens is, on their way to going to fly back to be part of his wedding. Rosario Dawson, who is playing this reporter who's interviewing him, takes him to a comedy club and forces him up on stage, and he's funny. He's funny while sober.
Yeah.
And it plays to that theme of he remembers that's who he is. That's what he's good at. That's what he loves to do. And he remembers the rush and the thrill of doing that. And that, trying to prove that he's something that he's not isn't really important. He needs to embrace what he is.
Not only embrace who he is, but also this person who he's just met, they have fantastic chemistry
They really
together.
do. She's amazing.
She's great in the movie.
Beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy talented.
Funny. Very funny. Very, very funny.
It feels like a lot of some of the stuff they might have done was ad-libbed. And to a point, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
when they're walking down the street and going back and forth about certain things, like the whole Planet of the Apes.
The Planet of the Apes, and
that
also...
felt so authentic, their reactions back and forth. But anyway, she's amazing. Yeah, but anyways, you're saying, yeah.
No, their chemistry together here is so good, and like throughout the movie, you see him do these whether it's a press junket, whether it's talking to Kevin Hart on the phone, like this movie, you're one step closer to being into Dancing with the Stars, and then other scenes where he's like sneaking in the back of movie theaters to see if movies have a crowd, but it doesn't, because everyone's watching Medea trapped in a haunted house.
That's right. Yeah, they actually show the new Tyler Perry movie, which is Medea's
it's trapped in a fucking haunted house. But then you have these little scenes together where it is like watching something like straight out of something like Annie Hall, and I mean, dear God, do I mean that as a compliment?
Sure, yeah.
Whether they're talking about, like you said, like the Planet of the Apes, or at the beginning where they're talking about like the next president's going to be a female president, and like can there be like it goes on this monologue about like a handicapped president, and like well, we already had a handicapped president, but like no, one who's handicapped since the beginning or something like that.
Who's out about being handicapped.
Yeah. It's a really good rapport that they have with each other. They have great chemistry because the character Rosario Dawson plays actually kind of turns him back into being a human being a little bit, as opposed to this celebrity who's kind of a jackass.
And is listening to his agents and his handlers who are telling you need to do this for the product. You need to be a part of this because it's going to sell. And I mean that's the industry. I mean that's their job. And I think that's kind of another comment on the fame idea is that he is surrounded for a lot of the movie by people who are his agents and his managers and handlers.
But also his friend, the bodyguard.
But before I get to him, it's the other people who are telling him to do things, but they're telling it because that's their job to make money off of him. So they're telling him to do things because they're like, we want you to do this because you need to succeed because it's my job if you fail.
Yeah.
Where you're right. He does have this one bodyguard main handler who's been his best friend since, when they were very little. And he's, a true friend, and you see the difference, and like he splits the difference and shows the agents don't really care. You know, his fake fiance, well, really real, but fiance, is more interested in the fame. And you know, is it going to sell? How's it going to play on TV? Than they are, is he actually happy? Where his friend, who's with him, actually does care about him being happy.
Oh yeah, at the end of the movie, he gives him probably the best piece of advice he's been given throughout the whole film.
Yeah.
And it is his bodyguard, who certainly, like, you know, when they're walking down the street, he certainly treats him like a celebrity and things like that. But also, no, he'll actually tell him at the end of the movie, like, you know what you're doing, you know what you want to do. You know, I'm not talking about you can have every girl. I'm talking about the one girl. I'm talking about, you know, the one that you actually want, not this reality show who they've given you a gift basket that's got booze and
he's a recovering alcoholic, and it's got booze and exactly. So.
There's a great part with Rosario Dawson's character where it starts out where she's in a relationship. And
this is getting back to what we were talking about earlier. Yeah, this is one of those uncanny things of movies that was just like Okay, yes, continue, please.
So she's in a relationship with, well, earlier in the movie, he didn't want to do an interview with the New York Times because the Times has hated all of his movies.
There's one particular critic.
There's one particular critic who has always remained unseen, which right there told me, okay, either this is Rosario Dawson or maybe it's her boyfriend. Or,
right,
or
yeah, somehow
like
her, because otherwise...
somehow involved with her.
Yeah.
But anyway, she turns out to be the movie critic later on in it. And, which actually, just to go off on a side thing, where she's like, he's a character that I made up. I'm sorry that he's so mean. And I'm like,
Don't you hate it when people make up fake characters to talk mean about movies? Fake personas that act mean about movies that shouldn't have.
My God. What have I done?
What hath we wrought?
Shit.
Well, no. So, but anyway, she early on you see her texting a lot to her boyfriend. You find out and we find out his name is Brad. And so at one point, you know, he said, Chris Rock says, "What does your boyfriend Brad do?" And I lean over to Brad and say, "Oh, he's the cinema star." and so we're laughing. You know, we laugh at privately at that joke, and then later they actually run into Brad at a hotel. And he's very startled to see them. And so he's trying to be dismissive and say, well, where have you been all day, whatever. Well, this other guy comes up and then sees them and tries to run away. And then Rosario Dawson sees him and goes, hey, isn't that your friend Ryan? So in the movie,
Brad's been shacking up with Ryan in the hotel because they're each wearing each other's shirts. And Chris Rock is like, maybe it's nothing. Guys get really cold. You know, maybe they just had to change shirts. Like, man, I'm in this hotel room. I'm really
freezing.
cold. I'm freezing. Do you come over? Like, we can, like, change shirts and stuff? Because that's what guys do.
Yes. So, yeah.
I don't know how you're going to break this to your wife.
She knows. So,
me too. That's why I'm divorced.
Wait, my wife knows about you? Well, no wonder this is what...
That's why when you said you were going out to the movies later, Laura was like,
By the way, where's half my check? Sure, I'll sign that one.
Just knowing Laura, if she responded with,
First of all,
would make my year.
That would make my year. I would be too busy laughing at, what the hell was that? I know it was a joke, and I know something was going on.
Did Brad tell you to answer me like this? Yes.
Brad.
Fucking knew it. So Chris Rock in the movie is like, weren't there any signs? And it goes into this flashback with her boyfriend Brad with a severe ass fetish. So actually at this point, he's less like Brad and more like fake Josh Hadley because he just wants everything shoved up his ass.
It's true. He says that every time they have sex, he starts wanting her to put her finger up his ass, and then they get this montage of all the places he had.
Oh my God, on a plane, and like it shows him out at dinner, and I'm like, is he gonna like stick his thumb up his ass or something?
Right, but the scene turns into where, right, I was like, I thought that too. I was like, they're at the dinner table. What are you doing there? No,
like,
but
what is gonna happen here?
But no, it's a setup for he says something really mean to her.
Yeah.
And then so later it's the same thing. They get home and they're gonna have sex, and
He's presenting himself.
he's presenting himself. So what she does is she takes a tampon, pours hot sauce on it, and then shoves it up.
She gives him the old Flaming Brian.
The old yes. To the Urban Dictionary.
To put hot sauce on a tampon and stick it up your ass. I thought it went in a completely different direction. Like I thought he was gonna end up liking it.
I thought so too, but now he starts flailing around and going,
Why did you do this to me? Oh God, why did you do this to me? You could have it much worse. You could have Joe Rogers chili instead. Getting that out of your system's like putting a flaming tampon up your ass.
I believe it.
Except it lasts for 4 days. Those are the 4 of the longest days you'll ever have.
Oh man, I don't know why you guys put yourself through that.
Me neither, because it wasn't even for the website. This was before we started doing Flaming Brian.
See, this is why, film yourself doing stupid stuff. That way we can.
This is before we even had that show. It was seriously just because we were stupid, and we both had the day off. It was a holiday Monday, so we're like, we should do this. We'll get our names written on the wall.
Right, yeah.
We got our names on the wall, yeah, but there's 1,000 other names on there. It didn't really matter. And the only reason I finished it was just because Brian finished his first. So I'm like, well, I can't look like an asshole.
That's right, you gotta stick through it.
Dousing each bite with ketchup because it tastes like garbage.
Yeah.
Gross.
Ugh.
Top 5, much better than Joe Rogers.
You're right, yes,
chili.
yeah, getting back on top.
I'm guessing better than Annie, I don't know.
Oh, man, Annie. Oh, gosh. I cannot wait to see what he has to say about it.
Maybe it was just a really low moment in the movie. Maybe it got better.
So, Magic 8 Ball says, fuck no.
I'll say that to Jake sometimes. We'll be in the middle of like a really terrible movie, like I don't know, like during like The Identical or Left Behind or something like that, and like a half hour in, Jake like just looks at me like this. My jackass is fucking sitting there like, maybe it'll get better. So now I'm picturing like Jake, he's sitting in there by himself with like that look on his face, and like a bubble appears over his head. Maybe it'll get better. No, get out of here, Ghost Brad.
Shoo!
People behind him, man, that son of a bitch up there's crazy.
I think there's a homeless man in here. He's crazy. He's talking to things. Shouting angry things at some invisible man named Brad.
I don't know why the cold homeless man wants to pay to go see the shortest movie playing in the theater. Go see The Hobbit. You'll get an extra hour of warmth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You got any final thoughts?
No, I guess, yeah, final thoughts on top 5. I just really liked it. I thought it was incredibly well done. Very poignant. An insider's look at fame that was approachable to somebody who has no idea what it is. I mean, we understand the industry a little bit better than most people do, but still, it was very approachable because just the emptiness and the shallowness of it. I mean, yes, everywhere he went, everybody knew who he was, but he was blind to it. Like, never once did it faze him and be like, oh my God, people know who I am. Cool. It was just, hey, Hammy, and they just. So to see that in a way that was so understandable, and to be like, wow, that being famous is not nearly what it's cracked up to be. Instead of the usual ways you see it sometimes presented. So and then just a really great message about being true to yourself and true to who you are and what you're good at. So loved it.
Oh,
loved
yeah,
the movie.
going back to what you're really, really good at,
Right.
and doing it to where you can feel proud of yourself for doing it.
Exactly,
In
yes.
this movie's case,
Yes,
doing
yes.
it without any substances, like in this movie's case, alcohol or things like that. And it's a funny movie. It's it's easily one of the funniest movies I've seen this year.
Agreed. Yeah, really funny, great performances, great cameos. But yeah,
very good cameos.
Funny without being like stupid slapstick. It was genuinely funny.
Yeah, and even the part. Yeah, you're right, because like even the parts in the movie that. And this was maybe only like a couple times, even though when something happens in the movie that can be considered to be gross out humor, it's done well. It's done to where it doesn't seem like it's exploitation. Like, there's a reason why this pretty gross out joke in the movie is there, because he is telling a story about when he hit rock bottom.
Right, the worst experience he's ever had.
The worst experience that he's had. I can name far worse experiences I've had than the one in this. But, which in this movie's case, it was like he had a three-way with a couple of girls, and then Cedric the Entertainer burst in and decided to join in.
Right.
And Cedric the Entertainer's not playing himself.
No,
but
yeah.
it's like he's repulsed and grossed out by this, and like, you know, the girls are saying that Cedric the Entertainer owes them money and said that Chris Rock would take care of it. And there's a part where he's just like, fuck, I need to not do this shit anymore. And he's laying on bed, and you can see like cum stains.
Right,
and
it's all
shit
just
on the
wet
bed.
and gross.
Yeah, it's part of making this scene pretty gross.
Yeah.
To show how he's kind of hit this point
exactly,
where
yeah.
he doesn't really want to do the booze anymore.
Right.
Me, on the other hand, it's my birthday this weekend. I'm going out drinking.
Hell yeah.
Till the break of dawn, baby.
We have not hit Bedrock yet, buddy. We're going down.
Damn fucking right. I'm gonna wake up in the morning with two girls, and then like naked Dave is gonna come walking in, like Cedric the Entertainer. Dave, get out of here, man.
Fuck you.
You go in the next room, Dave.
That's right, yeah. Two doors down.
Well, next week, the preview screenings next week are on Christmas Eve, so we will most likely be busy.
Yeah.
So,
My infant daughter can take her. She's not going there. It's fine.
this is true.
I mean,
She's way too young for that.
my daughter won't know that I'm not there. My wife, however, well, no, can I sleep back here? Is that cool?
Yeah, sleep back there if you want. It's probably warmer in the trunk.
Okay, good. Just move the bodies out of the way and I'll be fine. So
Here's a Molotov cocktail to keep you warm. Oh, just don't spill it. So next, I think we'll probably go to see something next weekend. But next week is Into the Woods, The Gambler.
not the interview.
Not The Interview.
Save that topic for another time.
Yeah. Wow. Damn.
We should talk about that, though.
We'll get on that
Yeah.
sometime. Yeah. And there's something I'm forgetting about. Oh, Unbroken.
Oh, yeah.
Unbroken. So we'll chill out here for a little while, wait for Jake to come out, and I'll see you guys soon.